There is a great personality in history named Mark Aurelius, who is considered to be the symbol of the highest power in the world. He was distinguished not only by his position, but also by his severe moral life, loyalty to principles, and deep philosophy. Unlike other Roman emperors, he rejected excesses and luxury. From lavish banquets with wine to bloody spectacles in the Roman Colosseum, he clearly saw his mission to serve humanity. The noble task was laid down. With this spirit, Mark Aurelius dedicated himself to the fulfillment of the meaning of life, without allowing himself to be caught up in worldly pleasures. One of the basic principles of the Stoic philosophy is the ability to distinguish what we can control and what is out of our control. Epictetus, one of the great thinkers of this school, emphasized this in his work. Most events, except for our actions, are out of our control. Such a realization is not only clear, but also deep, opening a new perspective on the world and our interaction with it. In opposition to this principle, the Stoics do not urge us to completely renounce the world, but encourage us to accept and realistically put ourselves within our limits. They believe that focusing on things out of our control only brings unnecessary burden. When life is full of suffering, it often happens that we take too much care of the factors that are not part of our influence. If we continue to allow external factors to control us, we will become puppets in the hands of fate. We often blame those who control us, but in fact, we voluntarily gave them this power. As soon as we stop paying attention to external influences, they will lose their power, and we will find true inner peace. The ability of Mark Aurelius to remain unmoved by things that did not depend on him gave him the ability to successfully go through the numerous trials that he had to face in his imperial reign. He could focus on the tasks that, in his opinion, were assigned to him by the gods. This freedom not to surrender to external forces may have been a way to focus on important goals. For someone else, it could be a way to a peaceful and carefree life. When life becomes difficult, we should stop worrying. But how to do it? This video is a free research and interpretation of the philosophy of Mark Aurelius about how to learn to worry less about anything. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as the Telegram channel. The link is in the description below the video. To learn about the new wise advice of the Stoics, and to take a step closer to a better version of yourself. In his thoughts, Mark Aurelius repeatedly makes a distinction between the present, the past, and the future. In each category, the ancient Roman emperor proposes valuable ideas about how we worry excessively about insignificant things. Let's start with the future for clarity and structure. As Seneca said, we suffer more in the imagination than in reality. This means that our thoughts about the future are the source of our suffering. Our imagination tends to run ahead, creating countless scenarios of what can happen, most of which will probably never happen. When we encounter the uncertainty of the future, we think about how to deal with the possible consequences, feeling the shudder of the thought that we do not know how it all unfolds, or how our life will turn out. Sometimes what we expected happens, but most often fate stops us suddenly, forcing us to feel overwhelmed by events that we cannot influence, neither for better nor for worse. Mark Aurelius wrote that we are not burdened by the weight of the future, but only by the weight of the present that presses on us. It is not the future that brings us suffering, but the way we treat it in the present. All the pain from the future happens here and now. Interestingly, the thing is not that the future happens now, but that when we worry too much about the future, life becomes gradually painful because we pass it on to our imagination, allowing the future to determine our present. So what did Mark Aurelius say about the excessive anxiety about the future? Let's start with his quote, "Never let the future bother you. You will meet it if it happens, with the same weapon of reason that you arm yourself against the present." He pointed out that if you can deal with the present, you can deal with the future. He advised not to imagine all the terrible scenarios that can happen, but to encounter the situation in which you are now. When he focused on the present, he understood that he could withstand it. So why couldn't he deal with what was to happen? This view is similar to the concept of amor fati, love for your fate, but with the certainty that if you can withstand it, you will be able to deal with the future. He reminded himself not to imagine all the bad consequences. Instead, he focused on how he could control what he felt at that moment. By doing this, he understood that he could withstand it. And if so, why couldn't he deal with what will happen in the future, what is related to the past? Mark Aurelius understood that life is short and passes quickly in the vast world beyond our perception. The past, as well as the future, lies in an area that we cannot control. The past is the past, and if we do not find the time machine, we will not be able to change it. He said, remember that a person lives only in the present, in this fast-flowing moment. All her other life has already passed and disappeared, or has not yet come. Therefore, he advises us to regard the past as unimportant and meaningless in the present. Not that past events do not affect our present, or that we cannot draw conclusions from the past. We cannot change the past. It is already in the past and lies beyond our influence. Memories of our past are often influential, and it is difficult to determine what exactly happened, because it depends on personal memory and point of view. Despite this, we continue to experience past events, often returning to them in our thoughts and experiencing them painfully. Someone may think that by measuring the past, we somehow control it. However, the past is already past, and we are dealing only with thoughts about what has disappeared and will not return. Many people say, I would like to do it differently, but they want the impossible. You can't get anything from these thoughts, because they give birth to desires that can never be satisfied. Instead of focusing on the past, Mark Aurelius focused on his attitude to it. We cannot change past events, and most likely, we cannot control them when they happen every day. However, we can control how we treat them. At first, we can perceive the past as negative events. We can experience difficulties in childhood, experience loss and disappointment in relationships, or face failures in the projects we hoped for. However, the past is not just a pile of accidents. It is part of our path. It can help us to learn, grow, and become stronger. Difficulties and failures in the past can help us better understand ourselves, explore our borders, and find ways to overcome them. They can become valuable lessons that make us stronger and better prepare us for future trials. Consider the past as a part of your story, inseparable, but one that does not define your life. It is a source of inspiration to move forward and build a better future. Do not allow the past to define your thoughts and make decisions. Use it to become stronger and more confident before future trials. In the sense of how you will react to these events, can we really call something unhappy if it does not violate the essence of human nature? Can you say that something is unhappy if it does not violate the essence of human nature? Do you think that something that does not violate the will of nature can violate it? Do you know the will of nature? That what has happened has prevented you from acting fairly, thriving, self-controlled, right, clear, honest, humble, high quality, which allows your true nature to thrive. Mark Aurelius did not completely deny the value of the past. He looked at the past as a manual, seeing how everything develops and repeats in cycles. When it comes to the future, our imagination often works unhindered, creating countless scenarios of what can happen, many of which may never come true. At first glance, we think about how to deal with possible consequences, feeling fear of the unknown future, or what will happen in our life. In some cases, what we expected happens, but most often fate surprises us with events that we could not have foreseen, neither for the better nor for the worse. Some people spend a lot of time and effort to prepare for possible scenarios, but life does not always go according to plan, and these plans may not come true. However, it is not worth giving up. Instead, we can learn to adapt to changes and correct our plans to create a meaningful and attractive life. Despite this, we continue to worry about the past, often twisting events in our mind and experiencing the pain caused by them again. Some may think that by measuring the past, we somehow guide it. However, the past is already gone, and we are dealing only with thoughts about what has disappeared and will not return. Many people say, I would like to do it differently, but they wish for the impossible. These thoughts cannot get anything, because they give birth to desires that can never be satisfied. Instead of focusing on the past, Mark Aurelius focused on his attitude to it. We cannot change the past events, and most likely, We cannot control them when they happen today. However, we can control how we treat them. First, we can perceive the past as negative events. We can experience difficulties in childhood, experience loss and disappointment in relationships, or encounter failures in projects that we hoped for. However, the past is not just a set of unfortunate events. It is part of our path. It can help us learn, grow, and become stronger. Difficulties and failures in the past can help us better understand ourselves, explore our borders, and find ways to overcome them. They can become valuable lessons that make us stronger and prepare us better for future trials. Consider the past as a part of your story, but it does not determine your life. It is a source of inspiration to move forward and build a better future. Do not allow the past to determine your thinking and make decisions. Use it to become stronger and more confident before future trials. The point is how you approach these events. Mark Aurelius's advice is to fully enjoy the present moment, to accept it as it is. He advised us not to allow our emotions to adapt to the current situation, even if we do not like what is happening, or we cling to what we have. It is possible to easily mark your past as a series of misfortunes. However, according to Mark Aurelius's philosophy, it is important not to call these events misfortunes, but how you choose to react to them. He believed that in the face of real events, if you are not them, you will not be harmed. The whole thing is in perspective. Instead of focusing on the burdens of the past, focus on how this experience shaped you and made you stronger. In this way, you follow a constant philosophy, accepting what you cannot change and finding inner strength in the present. Mark Aurelius considered the laws of nature as his leadership. If he resisted nature or felt anger or sadness about it, he would have become a deserter who ran away from what he was supposed to harmonize with. Imagine you are going through a rather difficult period in your personal life. You have lost important relationships and feel sad. According to the constant philosophy, you can approach this situation in the following way. First, accept the situation. Time shows that the loss of relationships is a part of life, and you do not always have control over it. It is important how you deal with it. Focus on your value. Instead of blaming yourself or drowning in despair, pay attention to your personal development and strengthen your self-esteem from the inside. Learn and develop. Consider the loss of relationships as an opportunity to learn and grow. What lessons can you take from this situation to become stronger? Live in the present. Do not waste time worrying about the past or fear of the future. Focus on the present and do what brings you joy. Talk to those around you. If you feel lonely, try to talk to your friends to share your emotions and get support. Deal with emotions. Learn to control your emotions, not to let them control you. This is the art of life. It is not about fragile external circumstances, because they are unstable, fragile, and fickle. It is about how we deal with the events we encounter. This is what we should think about. Focus on it. Try to live in the present, regardless of the circumstances you encounter. Start changing what is in your power. Just start. Do not look at others. Do not look into the future. Do not focus on the past. Pay attention to what is right in front of you and just start. I hope you will achieve the desired positive results in life. Remember, motivation can fade, but be persistent and consistent in everything you do. Remember, life is an endless journey, and there are precious moments that can completely change our lives. Thanks to the thoughts of Mark Aurelius, we touch on deep thoughts about life, success, and happiness. This story offers valuable advice and wisdom from one of the most prominent philosophers in history. It is time to refresh your life with a new wind. If this video touched your heart, do not hesitate to like and share it with everyone around. Thank you for being part of this journey, and we look forward to sharing with you more information in the future. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.